This is what 40 years has taught me about the AI age. Now, I've been thinking about this for a long time. And here's what I believe now. I started in technology back in the mid 80s, 1980s, 78's when I got my first computer, actually. And I've watched the industry through every wave that it has produced: personal computing, the internet, mobile phones, the cloud, and each one arrived with the same promise and the same warning attached. The promise was always more capability, more speed, more reach, and the warning always the same too, though almost nobody said it out loud. The warning was, this will change what it means to think. AI is not different from those waves. It is bigger. And what it is changing is more fundamental than anything I've watched this industry before. 40 years in technology teaches you something that you cannot learn from a course or a certification or even a very good book. It teaches you that every powerful tool reorganizes human behavior around itself, not because the tool forces it, because the tool makes certain behavior easier and other behaviors feel unnecessary. And over time, the unnecessary behaviors atrophy quietly without anyone deciding that's what they wanted. I watched it happen with email, the kind of writing that forced you to think a problem all the way through before you put it in front of someone else. That largely disappeared within a decade of email becoming so universal. Not because anyone banned it, but because friction that produced it was gone. And I watched it happen with search. An entire generation grew up with the assumption that any fact was retrievable in seconds. What changed was not just convenience. What changed was the relationship between not knowing something and tolerating the discomfort of not knowing that long enough to actually think. I watched it happen with smartphones, the end of boredom as a productive state, the collapse of the gap between stimulus and response. Each wave reorganized behavior. Each wave extracted something in exchange for what it gave. AI is doing the same thing, but it is extracting not time or patience or tolerance or friction. AI is extracting, if you let it, judgment. Every previous wave changed how we accessed information or communicated it or stored it. And AI is the first wave that reaches inside the act of thinking itself. It does not just retrieve an answer, it constructs one. It does not just store your work, it can generate work that looks actually like yours. It does not accelerate the process. It can substitute for the process entirely if you let it. That is categorically different from anything that came before. And here's what worries me, not the technology. I'm not worried about the technology. I have spent 40 years watching technology evolve, and I have never believed the tool was the problem. What worries me is the speed of adoption relative to the development of wisdom about how to use it. We are moving very fast. The tools are extraordinary, the productivity gains are real, and almost nobody is asking the question I think is most important. What kind of person do I want to be on the other side of this? Most of the conversation about AI now is focused on capability, what it can do, what jobs it will replace, what workflows it will automate, what the next model will be able to do that the last one could not. That is not an unimportant conversation, but it is the wrong center of gravity. The question of capability is easy. The tools will answer it for you. They get more capable every few months or even every few weeks. You don't need to spend much time and energy on that question. The harder question, the one that does not answer itself, is the question of character. What habits of mind do you want to protect? What kind of thinking do you want to keep doing yourself, even when the tool can do it faster? What is the difference between using AI to extend your judgment and using it to replace your judgment? Those questions do not have a roadmap. They do not have a benchmark. They require the kind of slow, uncomfortable personal reflection that is exactly the thing AI makes it easiest to skip. This is why I meditate. I've spent a significant part of my life studying wisdom traditions, not as a hobby, but as a practice. Thousands of books across 5 decades, contemplative practice, meditation, systematic testing of ideas against lived experience. And the thing every wisdom tradition I ever engaged with agrees on, across cultures, across centuries, across wildly different metaphysical frameworks, is this: the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your attention. Not your productivity, not your output, not your efficiency, your attention. What do you choose to notice? What are you willing to sit with? What you bring your full presence to, and what you let pass through. AI does not threaten your productivity, it enhances it. That part is not in question. What AI threatens, if you are not deliberate, is your attention, your capacity to be fully present with difficulty, your tolerance for the productive discomfort of not yet knowing, your ability to think a thought all the way to its end before asking for help. That is what 40 years of technology and 5 decades of reading have converged on for me. Attention is the asset. Everything else is downstream from that. I am not asking you to use AI less. I use it a lot. I use it every day. It has made me more capable in real and measurable ways. One of the first things I used it for was doing performance reviews. I managed some technicians out in the field, and we capture metrics, and I was able to have AI do all the number crunching and the comparisons and the contrasting, just the numbers. And then I brought the human element to that. In the past, it would have taken so long to crunch those numbers that I really wouldn't factor those in the way I should have. I cut a 12-hour task down to an hour. And those are the types of gains that we've all been talking about. What I am asking, or what I am suggesting, what I am committing myself to and inviting you into is a different type of relationship with these tools. When you remain the primary source of your own thinking, one where the tool extends and amplifies your judgment rather than substituting for it, one where you ask regularly and honestly, am I becoming a better thinker because of how I am using this? Or am I becoming a faster one at the expense of a deeper? That question is available to you right now. You do not need a framework. You do not need a course. You need the willingness to stop just for a moment and then pay attention to what is actually happening inside you when you reach for the tool, that little pause, that self awareness, that willingness to do that and practice that is everything. And I believe that it is exactly what this moment in technology requires of us: self reflection. Now, I've been building something around these ideas for a long time. A daily practice that integrates the best of what I have read and lived and worked with into something practical and sustainable for thoughtful professionals and non professionals. If that is a project you want to follow, subscribe and come along. And if you want to work through any of this directly in your own organization, your own team, your own practice, the link to my advisory work is below. Thank you for being here.